So today let's talk about fear of success, and how the topic came about is actually because of the 3 videos on survival mode. If you have missed them, please go watch them. It's a mini series on survival mode, from survival mode to stabilization, and the last video was on expansion. So one of my clients who is a regular watcher of the YouTube channel, she's a client, she's someone I'm coaching. And she says to me, I've been watching the video on expansion specifically, and I felt weird. And I'm like, what do you mean? And she's like, what if I don't want to expand? What if I'm fine at stability level and I'm not interested in reaching out or expansion or anything, going beyond? And I'm like, no, but that's perfectly fine. Stability is what we want after all. The expansion aspect is coming from the fact that you are stable and it is the next natural step. But people are fine being in a stable state and managing their lives and being content and being truly at peace with where they are. But if you are saying the video made you feel queasy, it made you feel somehow, it means there's something there. And I asked her, to explore a little bit that what is it exactly? And she pondered and said a lot of things. But then after much probing in the session, it came out to the fact that part of her fears, one of her big fears is fear of success. Interesting, right? And I know a lot of us know about fear of success, but I don't think we've explored it enough, because it's weird. It's a paradox of some sort. Why would you fear success? In a world that wants us to be seen, be visible, be successful, grab the bag, have it all. Why would you fear that? Something that the world approves of so much. And seemingly a lot of us are doing the things that we're doing because we want this success. But you'll be so surprised how widespread it is. It's just that unlike fear of failure, which is very obvious. I mean, we all fear failure because failure comes with a lot of issues. It comes with humiliation, embarrassment, real loss of things, loss of status, loss of money, loss of identity, loss of a lot of things. So it's very clear and very obvious why we fear failure. But fearing success, on the other hand, that's a very subtle vibe going on. And it is, you find that the reason a lot of people don't go for what it is truly that is placed in their hearts has more to do with fear of success, fear of achieving it, fear of visibility, fear of being there, than fear of failure. So let's unpack a little bit where it comes from. Why is it that one would fear failure? Some of the underlying or motivations or underlying undertones of fear of failure. So I'm going to just quickly wear my glasses and go into my notes, and we can just take it from there. Okay, so I'm going to start with a very deep one because my work is steeped in psycho-spirituality. And, I'm sure you've heard someone talk about fear of success and mention reasons, but I'm going to start with like very deep ones that many of us don't really think about, but they're at the deep subconscious level. They're there at the subconscious. So you're not conscious of it. It's at an ancestral, at a pattern level, at a family or lineage pattern level that may not necessarily be aware of in your ordinary life, unless maybe you're sitting with a psycho-spiritual life coach who can then reveal that reason for you. So if you're sitting there and you're one of those people that have fear of success, or you have a little bit of awareness that you fear success, this video is actually really for you. So one of the first very, very deep reason is loyalty to origins. Loyalty to origins. A lot of people fear outliving or outgrowing how your lineage has lived, how your family, your ancestral line has lived. So you find that your lineage carries stories of struggle, invisibility, sacrifice, and poverty, and living with very little. You find that your lineage has sort of signed that soul contract with the powers that be. And these things are real, guys. Hey, I mean, you see it, don't you see it? Where you find that you see there's a family, or it could be your family, or it could be a family that you know, where they just never outgrow certain things. They never get out of poverty. Even if they try to take someone to university, that person ends up just, fizzling out of nothing, or that person dying, or they just never get out of it. And a lot of us think that they are bewitched, and they may have well be, which is story for another video. But, you find Hori, one of the great grandparents has had a contract that, we are never going to rise above a particular way of being. And so deep, deep down in your bones, in your bone marrow, in your DNA, that code is there, such that, you are okay with just the bare minimum, maybe not abject poverty, of course, but you are right there. You are okay with just being staying there. The thought of outshining subconsciously make you bring deep, deep terror. And in your rational mind, in your conscious mind, you think, oh, no, it's fear of failure. Hunty, no, it's fear of shining. Because if you shine, you're going to outshine, or you're going to break a pattern, a contract with your lineage. Now, can that contract be broken? Of course, there are ways to do it. Psychospiritual coaches help with it. Sangomas help with it. Dingaka help with it. Pastors help with it. There's many, many ways to break that pattern. But a pattern, you break it only when you are aware of it, two, genuinely willing to do that, genuinely willing to do the work. The pattern breakers in family have to be willing to do the deep, dirty healing work. It has to be on you. And if you are the one that's aware, if you are the one that's drawn to my kind of content rather, my kind of content and the likes, you are most probably one of the pattern breakers in your family. And not necessarily about this specific issue of fear of failure, but just general healing of yourself. If you're drawn to healing modalities, especially the weird ones, the woo-woo ones that are like the kind of work that I do, chances are you are most probably a pattern breaker. So that's one. Fear of success generally talk to an unconscious fear of breaking loyalty, of breaking from the mold of a deep, deep, deep ancestral wound or ancestral contract or ancestral pattern. And yes, just to reiterate, it can be broken. It starts with awareness. It starts with willingness to do the necessary healing work so that you can then rise. Otherwise, you'll just always just be here, always be here. And if you look at our, as a collective Black family, there is a lot of pattern breakers that need to rise, so that we can break the mold and live up to the greatness that we know ourselves to be. So yeah, that's one. Number two, which is in similar lines with number one, is death of the known self. One thing about success, one thing about visibility, one thing about achieving really great things is that it demands you to be a new self. And a lot of people are unwilling to go there. Because what does the new self mean? Who am I going to see? Who am I going to be? How am I going to be treated? And subconsciously also, we've seen how successful people, or people who come into money or come into great fame, we always say that they've changed. And subconsciously, we are scared of that change. And it keeps us from achieving more, from wanting more. So what do we do instead? We self-sabotage. We do things that are just good enough to keep us right here, just a little bit of success, not big one, not expansive, not expansion one, because you will die. The you that you know today will die, and a new self will emerge. And not everybody is willing to go there. Not everybody wants there. You might say that, yes, I want fame, I want success, I want this, but deep, deep down, you really don't want it. Because if you wanted it, you would get it. You would get it. So do you see now that maybe a lot of why we are here is because of fear of success as opposed to, and maybe that's why Marianne Williamson was referring to when she spoke of our greatest fears. And I always butcher this quote, and I don't know why, because I love her, and I met her in person. Yeah, I met her in person in Chicago, one of the greatest moments in my life. And she said, our greatest fears is not that we are inadequate. Our greatest fears is that we are brilliant beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness. It is our light that scares us, not our darkness. So maybe a lot of us are scared of success as opposed to fear of failure. Okay, number three, fear of responsibility. Now, this is a very interesting one. I found it very interesting when I was doing a little bit of research. Fear of responsibility and stewardship. Success, visibility, leadership comes with responsibility. This is why we always, always look up to successful people as role models. This is why if you are a great actor and you are well known and you are famous, we expect certain standards from you. We expect you to behave in a particular way, to not do certain things. That responsibility, because who are you role model to? Most of the time, you are role model to not only us, but our children. The way you walk, the way you move, the way you do things will model how we do things, the way how we walk, how we do things. So subconsciously, as as well, sometimes even consciously, we are afraid of that responsibility. You know, with great power comes great responsibility, as Uncle Ben said in Spider-Man. With great power comes great responsibility, and a lot of people are not into responsibility. People are into freedom. We want rights, but we don't want responsibility, because responsibility literally shapes people. It shapes a community, it shapes a society. So half the time you are afraid of succeeding, afraid of raising your hand for that leadership role, raising your hand for that promotion, raising your hand to be seen, to be visible, is actually the stewardship of it, the responsibility of it, because it takes a lot. I mean, success asks a lot of you. It takes a lot out of your time as well. It takes a lot out of who you are. It literally changes who you are. And it puts a lot on your shoulders, responsibility-wise. So that is number 3. Number 4 is also another interesting one. I'm not sure how to put it, but it has to do with our inability to sustain that success. There's always this fear of one day you're going to be a has-been. How long are you going to stay up there? How long are you going to keep that momentum? You know, what if wow? Again, very, very subconscious. In fact, the more I'm doing this, the more I'm talking about this, the more I'm realizing that fear of success is more subtle, it's more subconscious than overt of fear of failure, because fear of failure is very visible. So there's that underlying fear that if I achieve this level, after this level, am I going to need to go to the next level or the next level? Which reminds me of a coaching session I've just had actually earlier with a client who loves to study. She's doing an honors in business management. So I'm saying to her, are you going to do an MBA after this? And she's like, yeah, of course. And I'm like, and then after MBA, are you going to do Doctor of Business Management? She laughs. She says, you know, knowing me, I might do that. And then I'm saying, after that, what are you going to do? And she's like, I don't know, maybe I'll start another degree. So sometimes fear of success talks to fear of, am I going to keep going and going and going and going? And for that reason, some people just don't go for it. And then the last one, number 5, also very, very deep one, and it links to that responsibility aspect. It's fear that if I am very, very successful and I have a lot, or I have a lot of money, I might just be corrupted. So it's fear of being corrupt. It's fear of going into the dark. And have we not seen them? Have we not seen people who ended up in very, very dark spaces after they've been corrupted by power? Because whether you like it or not, success gives you power, it gives you presence, it gives you fame, and fame is a very, very big form of power. And it is easy to go the other route. You know, I am feeling very 50 today. If you see me shine a little bit, it's because of the 50 thing. We have all seen beloved people go into very dark spaces. And right now with the Matlanga Commission, I don't know about you guys. I just feel like so much more is going to be revealed. But yeah, all because, you know, of some fame, some success, some money, which I know it's a different topic to the topic I'm talking about. But that is the point of point number 5. Sometimes you fear success because you don't have deep trust in yourself to stay the course, stay in line, and not be corrupted, and not be bought, and not be bribed, and not be made to sell things that you don't really believe in, but because of your power, because of your fame, because of your success, you know, you might just be corrupted. And those are the underlying reasons why we fear success. And I just wanted to do this as a video, but it was inspired by a question from one of my clients. And speaking of coaching, I am once again open for coaching for the next quarter. There are a few spots that opened up because the people I started with in January, those who took the 3 months journey with me, are finishing. So if you feel the call, if you resonate with a lot of what I say, if you feel like you want to take a plunge, please email me. It's lebupulezwek, one word, @gmail.com. You may also go to my brand new website, as you can see it here on the screen, and just go to individual coaching, and you will see how I work. And hopefully I'll see you on the other side. And with that, this is my story. I cannot wait to hear yours.